Hi, Capricorn Sun and Rising. Welcome to your April 2024 Astro Update. It's Raina here. And so this is quite a month for all of us. And for you, this is going to be very impactful on your domestic side of life because Aries for you is the fourth house. And there's going to be a lot happening, a lot of emphasis on this area. And, you know, I do have to say that this is a general forecast because everyone has, if you're listening for your sun sign or you're listening for your rising sign, we're talking about the solar and the natal charts, and that will depend on your degree of sun or rising sign. So just look at these forecasts as more of a general picture. If you would like a private reading, the link is below to that. And I do have some package deals for natal chart and transit readings. But I still think that these types of readings can be a good overview of the energies surrounding you in April. And I'm recording this, I do want to say that I'm recording this in March, and it is actually before the Libra eclipse. That's a lunar eclipse on March 25th, and I do believe that a lot of you will be listening before then as well, or maybe slightly afterwards. So I'll just start with that one because that is setting off this eclipse season, and that's going to be at 5 degrees of Libra, and that will be in your 10th house of career. These are both angular houses along with the 1st and 7th houses, and are considered very important in astrology. You rule the 10th house in career. So this is of additional importance because of that. And because it's a lunar eclipse, the sun is going to be opposing it, and the sun will be in that 4th house at an early degree of Aries, well, the same degree, 5 degrees. So even there, we have a trigger to the 4th house. So, when there is an eclipse like this, like a lunar eclipse in the 10th house can actually bring you more prominence and more success because you could have a breakthrough. You could have a situation where a lot of people learn who you are professionally. It can even be like a massive upgrade in your job title, like a promotion or something like that, where it's even better than you were expecting. It can be leaving a profession for good. It could be, or like retiring even. So it depends on what stage of life you're at or what kind of situation you have at work. And not all Capricorns have like a great situation going on. Maybe you're done with a particular profession and you want to change professions. So there's so many possibilities. But I just wanted to kind of give a little bit of background before we get into the April eclipse, because I think that is very valid. Because if, let's say you did get a promotion in March, that could affect where you live. You might have to transfer to you might have to go to a different country, and therefore you would have to sell your home or you'd have to vacate your home. And it might be a big, quite an upheaval for your family if you have one. The family you've created as an adult. So let's talk about these April eclipses. There's only one eclipse, but these April transits. At the very first day of the month, we have a Mercury retrograde on April Fool's Day. Perfect day for Mercury to go retrograde, right? at 27 degrees of Aries in that 10th house, in that 4th house of home and family. Now, this could be like, let's say in March, you start packing up your things and saying, okay, we're going to leave. This could be the time when, there's some kind of setback. There's like, you can't find the deed to the house. You can't, the house is under contract, but there's some kind of thing that is not quite right with it. So there's all these possibilities of things that could go wrong. But even if they do go wrong, Capricorn, it's temporary. Always remember that. Mercury is very quick moving, and anything that is up in the air or not something that you feel settled about can get resolved. So this is the important takeaway from all of this. You could also be rethinking something domestically, like if you want to sell your house, if you want to buy a new house. Actually, buying a new home might even be more of what's on your mind, because the energy is very much about Aries, and that solar eclipse will be in this area that I'm going to speak on in just a minute. On the 4th of the month, Venus goes into this 4th house, and this can create harmony. Actually, another thing that the 4th house can represent is your mother. And some people say the father, so I say family of origin, but also your past, your childhood. And Mercury retrograding could make you think about these situations from your past. You might be taking a stroll down memory lane for some reason. And, maybe you are getting nostalgic. I can't say for sure. Aries energy is not nostalgic, though. It's always like forward. It's looking forward, which is not a bad thing, because sometimes people get really trapped in the past. So Venus here can bring money. So maybe you're getting the proceeds from property that you've sold, or the money to buy a new home. You may have harmony, because with Mercury retrograde, there could be some kind of misunderstanding with your mother or your father, and that could lead to problems. But this can be smoothing things over, this Venus energy. On the 8th, we have a solar eclipse at 19 degrees of Aries, and this is, new seeds being planted domestically. So Capricorn, as I stated, you rule the opposite house, the 10th house of career. You've also had Pluto going through that house for 15 years. Your career sector, also, I'm sorry, I didn't mean the 10th house, in your first house of the self, okay? And this means that you have been really transforming yourself a lot. But what I'm saying about the 10th house is, because this for you is Libra, you had a solar eclipse here back in October. And now, in April, you will have had a second eclipse in this 10th house in Libra from, in the March period. So this area, coupled with having come off of, Pluto in your own sign in the first house, means that, you are changing like on many different levels. And this could be what your priorities are. So when you have that solar eclipse in the 4th house, when you may be realizing what is really important to you, and you're going to invest more time in those matters. On the 19th, the sun goes into Taurus, which is your 5th house, and this can usher in a great period of time. As a matter of fact, the very next day, the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is at 21 degrees of Taurus in this 5th house, which in astrology is the house of Leo. It's a house of pleasure. It's the things that you do when you're not working. Well, Capricorns, is there anything you do when you're not working? Because you're probably a workaholic. And what's interesting is I've known my fair share of Capricorns in my day. And Capricorn, like any other sign, there can be people who are slackers, who are not successful in the conventional term. They might work, but they're kind of just like eking out an existence. And one of the things that I feel with the sign of Capricorn is that there's always a sense of duty, regardless of the externals. Okay, so there's always a sense of family duty. I've witnessed this myself, and I do believe that Capricorns who don't feel successful do suffer because of that. But I think that the more evolved Capricorns, especially those of you who really feel that this Pluto transit has changed some of the ways that you look at yourself, being in the 1st house, the way that you carry yourself, but the way that you also regard yourself, that you can let go of some of that conditioning so that you have different standards that you judge yourself by, if you have to judge yourself at all, of course. So when I talk about this 5th house, and I talk about fun, and I talk about pleasure, maybe you are starting to say, hey, you know what? I do deserve to have downtime, to have hobbies where I'm not monetizing everything that I do. I'm not, having to have goals for everything that I do. I can just have some damn fun once in a while. Or maybe every day that you prioritize your downtime. So this can be a time just in the Taurus season where these inner planets that are traveling through are giving you opportunities to kind of explore hobbies, to let your hair down. But, I've said this a million times that Capricorn is a sign that gets younger as it gets older. So even if a Capricorn individual, this particular conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus can be a very fortuitous or, lucky situation for you, Capricorn, especially if you're single, because this is the house of love. This is the house of creativity. And Jupiter is the planet of expansion and luck, good fortune, and Uranus can be unexpected things, surprises. So combined, this could be a situation where you meet somebody seemingly random and it's love at first sight, and you know that they're the one because there's that intuitive quality that both these planets have as well, especially Uranus. Jupiter's more prophetic, where it's looking at the bigger picture and that kind of thing. But this is something that you may have heard other astrologers talking about, eagerly anticipating. And these two planets have been in your 5th house, and you may have already experienced some of their gifts in this sort of way. If you are a single Capricorn, or even if you're not single, that may be one of the things that's a little bit disconcerting, because Jupiter in the fifth house can indicate a lot of opportunities for love. And there might be some coupled Capricorns who are like, why do these people keep hitting on me all of a sudden? And Jupiter hasn't just gone into Taurus. It's been in Taurus since last year, but it's direct now. And with joining forces with Uranus, both of these planets represent freedom. And in the fifth house, this can mean a love that is free. Sometimes people get involved with another person and it doesn't feel free at all. It feels very confining. And even for Capricorn, this very staid, conservative type of sign, even some of you who are Sun in Capricorn may have Venus in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So you may have this love of freedom in spite of yourself. So this can really inspire you to respond to someone who is a free spirit too, who may come into your life. Maybe it is a Sag. Maybe it's an Aquarian, since Uranus rules Aquarius. And just I've said what I said before a million times, and I didn't finish my sentence. Capricorn is a sign that gets younger as it gets older. And I never understood exactly why. I mean, Saturn rules Capricorn, and Saturn is father time. So it has this connection with old age. But since Capricorn is a very ambitious sign, when the person has secured their so-called future and has accomplished their goals, then they can relax, and then they start to enjoy life more from a free-spirited position, because they don't feel like all these burdens of success weighing upon them anymore. And that makes them feel more youthful. And you can see this with Capricorns. Maybe they allow themselves to, like if they're a man, they grow their hair a little bit longer. They do certain things. It's interesting though. I think about somebody like David Bowie, who was a Sun in Capricorn, born on the same date as Elvis on January 8th, and yet he became more conservative, starting wearing suits as he got older. When he was younger, he was glam rock, and he was very outrageous in his appearance. I can't remember what his rising sign is. I think it might be Aquarius. If so, it's perfect for him. Even the galactic angles, Ziggy Stardust. So it's not to say that all Capricorns are the same by any stretch of the imagination. But I just thought that was very interesting. And so this may be a very exciting surprise for some of you, that maybe it's a fortuitous circumstance that has to do with any art projects. Maybe you're starting to make a name for yourself. And with Uranus, technology could be involved, like the internet, and you could go viral if you've maybe somebody shares your artwork and all of a sudden you have all these orders. Who knows? Anything can happen. On the 23rd, we have a full moon at 4 degrees of Scorpio, and this is a friendly angle to you called a sextile, and this is coming from the 11th house. So this could be good for money and for your dreams, making your dreams come true, because the 11th house is the house of gains, so it is connected to your financial earnings through your career. and full moons can bring something to fruition. It can also be, fruition of goals, but like your dreams. So look to that date. And this is just a few days after that conjunction between Jupiter and Uranus. And it will still, those two planets will still be in play before and after the 20th. So not to say that it's just completely going to dissolve. It's just that that was the exact conjunction, I guess. The full moon in your 11th house, this is a house of friendships and groups, could mean that something comes to a head with friends. You may cut ties in some cases with a friend, that maybe this is the last straw, but it also can be that you learn something about a friend. Maybe you hadn't been in contact with a friend and you find out, oh, this person has been ill, or this person lost their job and they didn't want anybody to know. On the 25th, Mercury goes direct at 16 degrees of Aries in that fourth house of home and family. So things can be resolved if there was any kind of mix-ups or delays. Or if you are rethinking where you want to live or whatever is going on with your domestic musings, then you can come to resolution. On the 29th, Venus goes into Taurus, into that fifth house. So there's a romantic connection there with Venus, but there's also a financial one. Venus can be about money, and the fifth house can be creativity. So creative projects that you're able to make some money, and maybe it has something to do with that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. As a matter of fact, Jupiter and Venus both can indicate money. So this can be something that you never even expected, since Uranus is involved with all of this. But this can be a romantic time. On the 30th, Mars goes into that fourth house. And so that kind of suggests a lot of activity in this domestic area. Also, another thing to note is that Mars had been in the third, and that can be siblings. And maybe there was some kind of issue with them, conflict with them. And that's one of the things too. Mars can be conflict with people or with the area in question. And so this is the domestic side of life. So maybe there are conflicting ideas. We've had Mercury go through here, still in its shadow period. If there's any kind of construction work that needs to be, if you make the decision during Mercury retrograde, you know what, I am going to sell this house, but we need to do like some rehab, then that could be starting some construction work so that you're able to sell it. Maybe you're just actively selling it, or you're packing things up. There's increased activity on the home front. So suffice it to say, a very busy month. I hope that you enjoyed this, Capricorn. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.